This is the Small Hadron Collider. This is the latest machine here. Particle physics. It was inspired by all the fuss about the Higgs boson, which I have no idea what the Higgs boson is, and obviously none of the journalists did either.
Congratulations! You have won a Nobel Prize for your outstanding work.
There is your Nobel Prize. My dad always used to like to entertain people. He organised amazing parties for us when we were kids, and party games and things. And I think when, just as a child, I made things that made people laugh and stuff, I found it satisfying, and I guess my dad encouraged it, and so really nothing's changed, you know. The earliest one here in London is the Chiropodist. Originally made that for Covent Garden. At the time, Cabaret Mechanical Theatre had a place in the market. Sue Jackson, the woman who owned it, wanted something to stand outside. I wasn't sure when I made her that whether people actually would take their shoe and their sock off and put their foot in this sort of dark hole. You know, it's quite a big ask really, but you know, if you can tempt people to part with their money, they've invested. And once they've invested, they'll follow the instructions and do all sorts of stupid things. Because of making these machines, I got interested in the history of arcade machines, and there's quite a history of bad taste. Started almost when public executions ended and they became sort of private affairs. People wanted to see executions, so there are all these working models of executions were made, so you could put in 2p and see somebody's head being chopped off. So there's this history of the sort of gory and the sort of bad taste. So I made a divorce machine. I think some people think that's bad taste, though unfortunately it's a small minority, less than I was expecting.
Welcome to money laundering.
Part of the fun of having Novelty Automation here is that I can do jokes about London.
Your task is to pick up the cash from the gutter, carry it up through the city and deposit it on the weighing scales at the top.
I thought tourists might like to know something a bit more modern about London. So all this sort of stuff about the City of London, its wild success and its sort of gambler mentality appeals to me. I'm an avid private eye reader. That's half of it, but the other side is that there's, for my interest in arcade machines, there's a whole history of machines with cranes in. And although all that's left now are these rather cynical ones that pick up the teddy bear and drop it, in earlier times they were sort of partly to show the working parts of a crane. My money laundering machine, you have to pick up the cash from the gutter and get it into the banker's weighing scales at the top. But on the other side there are the regulators who occasionally look out of their window, and if they see you scooping all the cash up to the top, then of course you get a penalty and it drops and you have to start all over again. Petrol meat is a very simple game. You spin the roulette wheel and it whizzes round, and the divisions are either pet or meat. If you land on pet, the pet's sitting on the sofa being stroked by the kids, and if you land on meat, of course, it's upside down being carved, and the kids are rattling their knife and fork waiting for dinner.
Welcome to my nuke, your personal nuclear reactor. So simple, nothing can go wrong.
I'm interested in nuclear power. I run lots of engineering things, but there's a sort of spooky Cold War fascination with nuclear power, all things nuclear, and this sort of dread factor I quite enjoy. And also in Southwold, my Southwold arcade, there when you look out the window, you can actually see Sizewell, our local nuclear reactor. The dome is in the distance, so I always knew it needed a nuclear reactor inside the arcade. But with all the sort of alarm and dread and, built in.
Prepare for evacuation. Call the National Helpline for further details. All calls are charged at £1 a second.
Then I thought, actually, it'd be quite nice to have some sweets that were edible nuclear waste, and then you could dispose of your nuclear waste at the end of every go.
Please collect your nuclear waste.
Well, no, there's lots of found objects. When I say found objects, I mean there's some from, mostly from eBay, so I've got a vague idea what I'm looking for. In the past, I used to get found objects from the local scrapyard and take to bits. Machines like photocopiers and that, the photocopiers are useful, but consumer machines today, all built out of plastic, aren't very useful. I still get a certain amount of old medical equipment, and better, well made and useful. There's some specialist car boot sales that sell electronics and that sort of stuff that I go to, so it's always satisfying. Oh, and actually there's some nice surplus shops in Silicon Valley that I visit when I'm there, which sometimes have inspiration.